Hi everyone, hope you are well today. I sound like my sister again. Um, she says that. Anyway, I've just been chatting to Rach. She's done her video. Her video is already up. I'm late tonight. I've just had what we call parent-teacher interviews tonight. So meeting after meeting after meeting on Zoom, talking to parents about the boys, how they're going. It's very, very, very draining. Having so many in a row. I think I had something like 20 in a row, 5 minutes each. It can be hard. It's on Zoom, so you sort of come in and out. I'm in the whole time, and then parents come in and out, and I let them in for their interviews. I try to stick to time with the only having the 5 minutes, but almost immediately I got out of whack. You know, sometimes if you've got a parent who's having a few technical issues, like, you know, I had one set of parents who had issues getting their mute turned off. So, you know, had to wait while they worked that out. And then that delays you. And then I had another one who froze and dropped out, but then came back in. So you have things like that where, you know, just technical things happen that you can't control. And for some people, it's their first time on Zoom. They're not used to Zoom. And it kind of makes it hard to stick to your 5 minute timeline that you're meant to be sticking to. So I had that. I did about 30 odd interviews tonight. Most of them were back to back, and then occasionally I had a 5 minute break in between, and then I had about a half hour break until my last few. But it's just super, super tiring. So you're probably wondering what I'm doing. I am making my tree. So I'm making a tree trunk, which I want thicker. So I'm going to get some more fibers. I do want it to be thicker. All I'm using is just random wools. I've got some Appleton. I've got just tapestry wool, etc. So most of these are from the sewing basket. And I'm going to wind it up. I want it a bit thicker to make my tree trunk. You've seen me do something similar. If you have been watching all our projects, I made a tree in volume 1, but I used, gosh, what even was it? It was, what was it? It was like almost like a silk thread, like twine, a silk twine. That's what I would have called it. See, I'd love to use something thicker like this, but that's the wrong colour. I need something a bit more. That's just a wool. Just seeing what I've got next to me. I need something with a bit more earthy tones. I don't have a lot of stuff like that. I tend to go more colourful. I'm just looking at another box here. Oh, and I've got this kind of thing I got from the sewing basket. I thought I'd wind that up like it's a vine going around. I like this would be perfect if it was the right color. This is Rach gives me this stuff. It's like a thick wool. That would be perfect, but I don't have a brownie color. Even like this kind of thing, which is like a chenille, would be good if I was making a green tree trunk, which I'm not. Okay, so let's just get on with what I've got. Lay some more fibers down. Maybe I'll get a little bit of this going. There is some green in this, but there's also some brown, so it could just be like vines coming up the tree, and you never know. This could look really bad, but we'll give it a go. And how am I going to stitch my tree trunk down? I am going to couch it down. All right, so I don't want my vines right next to each other. So all I'm doing is I'm twisting it. And I was thinking, I'll twist it as I go, thinking what I'd have is my tree with branches coming up here, because I have some stitching I want to do around my pond. So I did finish my pond. I've got my little fish sewn down with their little cute eyes, and my lily pads, and then I've got some lovely water lilies. I've done them in 2 different coloured pinks, and all they are lazy daisy stitches. I did a base layer of a dusty pink and then a brighter pink on top, and then I've just done some little yellow stitches at the bottom. And I like how they've turned out. They're kind of what I was thinking in my head. So I'm going to have this tree that's going to go over the top. So you know it's the new prompt. You would have watched Rach before you watch me. And the new prompt is the tree and or bird's nest. I think for this one, I'm going to do both. So I'm going to do a tree with a bird's nest in it. Quite similar to the one I did in volume 1, but I will do some different leaves. And that's where I can get into some of my green textured wools, and I want to stitch some leaves down. Okay, I'm just trying to thread my needle. It's quite a fine one. I am just using a dark brown Appleton, and I am going to couch down my fibers. So all I'm going to show you tonight is the couching down of the tree trunk and branches, and then next week I'm going to come and show you how I do the leaves and possibly the nest. So when I've got chunky fibers like this, I just want to secure with a couple of stitches. Okay, I'll put myself a bit more on screen, sorry, up here. Just a couple of stitches just to get it secured. Later off, if I don't want all these, I can trim them, but I might want to, actually, I'll work that out later. I might want to do some stitching over the top, like there's some greenery growing up to my tree. Okay, so I've got 2, I'm going to go for 3 stitches actually to secure this down. So couching just straight over the top, and then as I go, I'm going to twist. So I might twist a little bit, pin it down. So you can give your tree a little bit of shape. Like it's a bendy trunk. Sorry if my arm's blocking your view. Just pin over the top to hold it down while I stitch. Okay, and now it's time to couch down. What I think I will do is I'm going to couch on a little bit of an angle, just like the fibers are going on an angle, and you probably won't even notice the stitch, and you'll just think it's part of the twisting of the fibers. And I don't have to, this fluffy one here, I'm actually going under it, so I don't stitch it down, then you've got a bit of dimension. Just enough stitches so that you think that it's secure and it's not going to flop all over the place. So I was going to tell you a bit more about New York. So I told you about getting stuck in LA. Did I tell you about the funny guy that sat next to me at the ice hockey? I can't remember. I'm going to tell you again, and if I did, you can just shut me off for a little while. So that was in the LA Kings game, and when we got stuck in LA for a night. And this guy sat next to me. I had on one side, I had my Canadian colleague who loves his sport. He was head of sport at our school, and now he's head of our senior school. And I sat with him because, you know, the ice hockey is really similar kind of strategy and tactics to what we do in field hockey, with lots of changes of angles and things like that. It's a really similar kind of thing. And so I wanted to sit next to my colleague because I could chat to him and I could ask him lots of questions, and really learning technical rules because, you know, the concept's similar. So, you know, as a person who's into sport, I get that. I can get the basics of it. But just ask him really technical things like the body checking, what's allowed, what's not allowed, all that kind of stuff I was asking him. That was interesting. So this guy ended up, he was sitting next to me on the other side of me, and he was hilarious. He was not the tallest guy in the world, quite short. He kept telling me he was too short for ice hockey, but he had played ice hockey and loved it and was a goalie. And he was a young, kind of almost reminded me of a California surfy guy. And he was so funny. He was chatting to us the whole time. He's so fascinated by us being there from Australia. And he every time anything exciting happened, he kept whacking me, giving me a whack on the arm. Oh, did you see that? Did you see that? And he kind of made the game really fun. And, you know, he's getting me up out of my seat and cheering, "Let's go Kings." And it was funny. It was really, really entertaining. The boys that were there, Jamie actually left early. He fell asleep in his chair while the game was on. So one of the teachers took some of the boys back early because they were just... Yeah, he's just yelled at me. He was up for 34 hours. Yes, that is correct. We were up for like 2 days. But he left. Naughty Jamie left. But we stayed. I was super tired, but we stayed and watched the whole game. It was so much fun. And one thing that's really cool was seeing celebrities at the games. So I think at that game they put Snoop Dogg on the big screen, and there was some other band. I knew the song, but I can't remember who they are. But these, for us in Australia, like, yeah, sure, I've seen Russell Crowe, I've seen Nicole Kidman, some of our Australian ones, but these people are really big superstars to us. We don't see people like that here, or it's very rare if you do. And when we went to New York and we went to the New York Rangers game, Will Ferrell was there, and he was sitting like down the bottom, right at the front row, but below us, and we could see him from above. It was really cool. Like they're major celebrities to us. So yeah, we ended up, because we got stuck, we missed that Brooklyn Nets game. We booked the Nets game on the Sunday, Easter Sunday, and we didn't arrive till midnight once we got that second flight. So unfortunately we missed that. But then the night after we arrived, we got to go to another ice hockey game, and we saw the Rangers, which I loved. And then that was the one where I had the issues with the camera. And then we did get to a Yankees game as well, another 2 nights after. Unfortunately, the Yankees didn't play so well. The Minnesota Twins were very good in the first innings, and they scored 8 or 9 runs in the first innings. And in the end, they did annihilate the Yankees. But we had lots of fun. We went to the Hard Rock Cafe at Yankee Stadium for dinner, early dinner, before we went and watched the game. And that was following a big day, because we went to the Statue of Liberty that day. We were supposed to go to Ellis Island, get off and have a look, but we kind of ran out of time, and we really wanted to go to the 9/11 Memorial, so we went to that, and just went past Ellis Island, didn't actually hop off the ferry. And then 9/11 Memorial, that was just amazing. You can see the wristband. I donated money so all boys could have one, put in a bit so everyone could take one. And we only had a couple of hours there. I would say that I would have liked about 4 hours there, especially the museum under the North Tower. There's just so much to look at there, and I just didn't get to, although I went through it quickly, I just didn't get to take it all in, because we actually ran really late to get to our dinner reservation for the Yankees game. So we did as much as we could. Then what else did we do? Oh, our first day after arriving, we actually went to Central Park, and they played at the, they did like just an impromptu kind of concert at the big concrete band shell, and gathered quite a crowd, which was cool. People followed them. They sort of marched through Central Park playing, and people were following them. They're very impressive, even though there's only 25 of them, which is only a small number. When they're on mass band, you're probably looking at about 250 kids. They're impressive. Like, they sound amazing, and they're very talented boys. And I was kind of following behind, filming them, and I hear this little boy turn to his mum. He must have been about 7 or 8 years old, and he said to his mum, "Mum, do not send me to that school." I think he thought that we were a military school. I don't know of us having any schools like that in Australia. Someone told me in New York that sometimes private schools, kids go to them because they're naughty, and they have to go to private schools for discipline and stuff. we're different in Australia. Kids go to private schools. It's by choice. In fact, if you are naughty in a private school, you probably won't stay. You'll be asked to leave. So it's very much a privileged thing to be able to do, to send your son or your daughter to a private school. It's very expensive. And, you know, lots of people work hard, very hard to be able to do that. State schools, there are many great state schools in Australia. The thing with private schools is there's just different things you can do. For example, the Pipes and Drums Band is something, you know, it's one of the things I love the most about our school. But there's just, you know, there's different facilities, different opportunities, different co-curricular activities. It's you go for an education, but it's so much more than an education when you go to a school like my son's school. I sound like I'm a brochure trying to get people to enroll. I'm not doing that. I'm just trying to explain what they're like. There's a lot of private schools in Sydney, and there's different sort of types of private schools. There can be religious ones, independent ones, etc. Co-ed, boys, girls. Yeah, so Jamie's is just boys, from age 3 all the way up to their final year 12. So that kid was very funny, saying he didn't want to go to our school. I think, you know, because the boys look so disciplined with their marching as they're, you know, piping and drumming along. And then, oh gosh, what did we do? We did everything. We went to Rockefeller Centre. We did the Top of the Rock. That was our first observatory that we did. We did Empire State as well. That was amazing, just coming out at the top there and seeing how big the city is. I mean, Sydney's tiny compared to what you've got. And I was in the city the other day for Jamie playing on our Anzac Day march, which is honouring our Australian and New Zealand war veterans. And, you know, you come out of the train station in Sydney and the buildings look so tiny compared to New York. You mean in New York they're 4 or 5 times taller. It's tiny. You know, you spend half your time looking up. It's so impressive. So Top of the Rock was good. I enjoyed that. And then, we did Radio City Music Hall. We did a backstage tour. They took us around, showed us everything, showed us the hydraulic stage. You know, we got to meet one of the Rockettes. Most of the boys actually had no idea what the Rockettes were, but they showed you a film. I think I'd love to see the Rockettes do their Christmas pageant one year. So that was fun. We had a photo with the Rockette with all the boys. Each boy, sort of group of boys, had photos. And we saw a little movie about the history of Rockefeller Centre and the Rockette. Not Rockefeller Centre. No, what's it called? The Radio City Music Hall and the Rockettes. We saw a little short film about that, the history of it, which was good because the boys, I honestly don't think any of them had any idea what they were. And she was telling us that I think she said 3 of the Rockettes are Australian, which is cool. And just the amount of training they do, like that's intense. They're elite athletes, like that's crazy. Yeah, that's definitely up there with elite sport, the amount of training that they're doing. Very, very fit, especially leading into things like that Christmas pageant. She was saying the hours they do, and that must be very taxing on the body. So, yeah, Rockefeller Centre, Radio City Music Hall. We did the Empire State Building. We went to Times Square, 3-4 times. Can't even remember what I told you last week, but we had 4 boys that got scammed there, one for $60, a couple for $20 and one for $10. I think they learnt their lesson. We went to dinner to 3 different restaurants in Times Square. Bubba Gump, that was good. We enjoyed that. And an Italian one, can't remember the name of it. And then, what was the other one? It was like Southern style food, like chicken and ribs and that kind of stuff. We were very amazed at the volume of food. All our meals were pre-organised and prepaid, and mostly food just came to our table, or they selected from some kind of set menu. But the proportions were really big, so there was a few times when we just got them to package up the leftover food, and as we walked back to our hotel, we'd find people on the street, homeless people, to give it to, which was really nice. That, you know, I got a few boys doing that, which was great, because that's something I do in Sydney. I work with Salvation Army, so it was nice to do a bit of something nice for other people when we were there. What else did we do? Gosh, we did heaps. I had a little bit of shopping. We went to the Woodbury Common shopping outlet in, I think it's in, is that in New Jersey? Because we definitely drove through New Jersey to get to it. That was fun. I did buy quite a bit for mum, a couple of handbags for mum, one for me, one Coach handbag, so cheap. A little bit in Ralph Lauren, quite a lot for Jamie, and then bits and pieces for other people. So we got a little bit of shopping done. We also went to things like the baseball store. Pretty much everyone, the lids, baseball cap shop. Just about every boy bought a cap, mostly Yankees caps. You know, they're well recognised at home. A lot of people have them. So, yeah, got a bit of shopping done. Would have loved to have done more, but both Jamie and I were literally on the max limit for our luggage. We actually couldn't have added anything else in. Having to take those big drums and pipes and stuff, it reduced our luggage allowance a little bit by having all those instruments on the plane, especially Jamie's. Jamie's drum is huge. So we definitely loved our trip, and it's a place that I really want to go back to now. I want to go and explore. I want to go see where Carrie Bradshaw's apartment is. I want to go and explore places like Soho, and I mean we did go to Wall Street, had a look, had a picture with the bull. We did Brooklyn Bridge, so we did sort of the main touristy things, but I'd love to go explore further. I must say spring was such a beautiful time to go. We only did the sort of bottom end, I guess it's the bottom end, Midtown end of Central Park, but I'd like to go and explore Central Park further. It is just the prettiest place in spring. It must be such a good time to go when all the cherry blossoms and the magnolias are blooming, and there's bulbs everywhere, like tulips and daffodils, like all over the city. You know, going to Bryant Park and how pretty it is behind the New York Public Library. We went there a couple of times. The boys performed there. Marching down the streets, there's flower pots everywhere. I was really excited to see where the Jimmy Fallon show was filmed. You know, I think the Drew Barrymore show is somewhere close by. So lots of fun things that it's just like another world to us. Anyway, I'm stitching along. I'm making a bit of a wonky tree, adding in some extra branches. And then once I add my leaves, might do a little bit more here. Once I add my leaves next week, it'll look a lot better, and I'll add my nest in maybe here. But anyway, I think you get the idea of what I'm doing. I'm just adding scraps of fibres in. I don't want to go over my glass house. So I'm just going to cut it off there. All right, so I've been chatting away. Oh, I do want to tell you one thing. So for those who know, and I know a couple of people I've noticed that we know just through Stitch Projects and been on Instagram and stuff. Fleur Woods in Australia from New Zealand. She's an amazing textile artist. We've mentioned her before. Mum is currently doing a 3-day workshop with her, which Rach and I got her for her birthday, because Fleur was meant to come, was it last year? Started last year. And Mum and I had booked in to a workshop. Rach and I were buying Mum the 5-day workshop down in Ballarat, down in Victoria, for her birthday, but it ended up getting cancelled because, you know, travel wasn't so good with COVID still at that stage. So Fleur didn't end up coming. So we were kind of upset when that got cancelled because we were so excited to do that with her. And then Fleur has come to Australia now. She's actually down in the Southern Highlands where Mum lives. And actually the workshop she's doing is in a town where Dad has a house. So Mum has been doing that. She's done 2 days so far and she's got one more. And I was just talking to Rach before and she was saying she's never heard Mum so excited. And then it popped up online that Fleur was going, she's doing some other courses around. She's got a 1-day course in Sydney and a spot popped up. And I looked at that course when it was first advertised, but I didn't purchase a spot because it's a Sunday and I have hockey on a Sunday, and I'm very much a person who, when you're committed to a team, you don't let them down, you turn up. I actually get frustrated when people give poor excuses for not coming. And so I didn't book a spot, and then one has suddenly come up. Obviously someone's cancelled, so I just had to jump on board and fill that last spot. So I've written a message to Fleur and just said, look, I have hockey. Can I come a couple of hours late? And if it's not a problem, that would be awesome. It's a 6-hour course, so I'll still get 4 hours with Fleur. So I'll see if she replies. I've only just messaged her not long ago and it's late tonight. So if it's a problem, I'll have to talk to my coach and see if I can miss the game. But I really don't like doing that because, you know, I just feel it lets your team down. So I'm excited that I might get to do a course with Fleur in Sydney, which is super cool. So if you don't know Fleur, find her on Instagram. She is unbelievable. Rach and I just recently did an online course with her through an organisation, Australian one, called Fibre Arts Takes Two. Rach bought me it for my birthday, which was amazing, and we did that together and had so much fun. Rachel actually completed her piece, which I think she might have on her Instagram page. I've only just done a little bit of progress on mine. I've got a lot more to do. But her inspiration and her style is wonderful. Lots of yummy fibres and hand-dyed things and painted fabrics, and she's very, very, very creative. So very, very, if you're into that real textile art, gorgeous textile art, she's very much a person that if you can do a workshop with her one day, I would encourage you to do that. So I'm going to jump off now, play around with my tree a bit more, and then next week I will come back and do my leaves and make it look a bit more like a tree rather than kind of random brown branches. And I might try and get a bit of greenery done down the bottom as well, so you can see what I'm doing. I want to fill in all of this around with greenery and like little buds as well, little French knots for buds. Okay, I think I've been chatting enough. I'm going to jump off, upload this video so you can see it, and go to bed. Okay, so I will see you again next week, and I look forward to seeing your trees or your nests, whatever you're going to do this week. So thanks for watching, and see you again soon. Bye.